Hello everyone, in this video we're going to cover setting up zones for a project. Zones allow us to control how our tops relate to the petrophysical parameters that we will set and will help us to ensure that we make consistent interpretations across a play. Okay, let's get started. So you can see that I have open the project that we created in the previous video. So to establish the zones that we'll be using, we come up here to the Edit menu and we say Edit Zones. And this will present us with some options. So compute zones automatically is the default, and that will basically show petrophysical parameters for every top in the project, which may be your desired behavior, especially if you're only working with one well. But when you're working with large data sets, you'll most likely want to customize your zones. So we're going to say Customize Zones. And this will bring up a menu where it'll ask us if we want to manually add a zone or initialize from tops. So we're going to start by saying initialize from tops. And here it brings up a list of all the tops that are present in my project. So you'll notice that these tops, it says, start at, and then the formation name, and ends at the next zone. And it says this for each of the formations. So for this project, I'm really only interested in the Alston Chalk Zone, the Eagleford, and the Buddha. So here we have the option to either turn zones on or off, or we can delete the zones. So in this case, I'm going to delete the zones. Okay, so now I'm down to the zones that are relevant. I really don't want a middle Alston Chalk zone. I just want to evaluate the entire Alston Chalk interval, so I'm also going to delete that out. And so now we're left with these three zones. So I'm going to click the Edit button there, just so you can see that again. I click Edit, and now I'm editing the Alston zone. And you'll see here it gives us the display name, and this is what will show up for our petrophysical parameters selection. You can type anything you want to in here. It automatically is put in a zone ID for us. All the parameters are associated with the zone ID, so be very careful when you're changing a zone ID. We have the zone top, so if you click here in this track, it brings you a list of the tops. And so this says we're going from the top of the Alston, and then it asks how we want to specify the bottom of the zone. By default, we go to the start of the next zone. However, for a more consistent interpretation, we often want to end at a specified top. And so here I just click in the track and say Eagleford. So what this means is that now the Alston zone defined here is designated to be between the Alston top and the Eagleford top. That means if I do not have an Alston top or an Eagleford top in a well, then we do not have a valid Alston zone, and it will not show up in our parameter menu. Also, if our stratigraphy is out of order, let's say the Alston is below the Eagleford, then in that case, it will also not show up in the parameter table because the Alston has to be the top or above the Eagleford. So I'm going to hit Apply Changes, and now we can see it says our Alston starts at the Alston and ends at the Eagleford. For consistency, we want to make the same change here to the Eagleford. We'll say it starts at the Eagleford and ends at the Buddha. And once again, we're going to hit Apply Changes. And then for the Buddha, in this project, we have very few tops that actually go below the top of the Buddha. But we still want to analyze for it. So we're going to say Edit, and we're going to say Fix Thickness. And because our zone of interest is really the first 100 feet or so of the Buddha, I'm going to give it a fixed thickness of 150 feet and say Apply Changes. So to have this take effect, we now need to come in and hit Apply. And now if we go to a module, like for example our clay volume, what we'll see now is we have the Alston, Eagleford, and Buddha zones as we designated them. Let's say we wanted to change the display names. We can come back here and say Edit Zones. I'm going to edit my Alston, and I want to be a bit more explicit here. I'm going to say Alston Chalk, Apply Changes, and I'm going to say Eagleford Shale. Now I'm going to hit Apply Changes, and hit apply. And now we notice that the changes have taken effect. Now, if I had previously set parameters for these, those parameters would not change because I left my zone ID to be the same. So there are some other options here. We see that in this case we also have a top named upper. So maybe maybe you could imagine a situation where the Alston chalk has not been picked across the entire area, or maybe it's not present. So what you may want to do in this situation, so I'm just going to delete this top out of this well, and so now you'll see that we don't have a valid Alston. Now you may say, as a fallback, if the Alston isn't present, you'd still like to have it evaluate from the upper down to the Eagleford zone. Well, we can do that. So we can go Edit, Edit Zones, and we're going to edit our Alston, and we're going to say, okay, it should start at the Alston, but if the Alston isn't present, let's use this zone upper that we've picked. We're going to hit Apply Changes and hit Apply. And now we once again see that the Alston chalk zone has been defined because now it's saying, well, the Alston isn't there, but the upper top is there. And so now it's defined as this whole interval. You'll see that if I move a parameter, it's moving across this middle Alston marker because the middle Alston does not define a zone in this project. If I come back in and I right click, add a top, and add back the Alston, what we'll now see is that the Alston parameters now only apply from the area from the Alston top to the Eagleford, because the Alston takes priority over the upper due to how we defined it in our list. So if we wish to change that behavior back, we can go Edit, Edit Zones, and we can remove that upper zone. So let's say you've been working on your project for a while and you wish to add another zone. So what we can do is we can say Add Zone, and we're going to add this upper zone. We're going to give it an ID of upper. We're going to select that top, and we're going to say End at specified top, and we're going to end at the Alston. So now we're going to say Add Zone, and you'll see that zone by default gets added to the bottom. If we don't make any changes here, this zone won't be defined because it's saying, hey, I'm looking for my upper, and it should be above the Alston chalk. So what we need to do is we need to grab it and slide that up. So remember, to do the grab, you click on these dots, and then you can move it down or you can move it up. And so now we hit Apply. And now once we've applied this, now we see that we've defined the zone upper, and it appears in our parameter table. Okay, so that's all for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. And remember, as always, before exiting, to save your work. Thank you.